Hello, Ms. Ann Hampton Callaway. It's Marjorie Waldo with Ann. I can't believe it. In our interview today. Thank you so much.
Well, it's wonderful to see you, Marjorie. May I say how beautiful you look? A pandemic looks good on you.
I was thinking the same thing about you, so it's lovely to see you. And I can't wait to see you here again. We've got shows that we've been rescheduling like crazy to make sure that we
I
can.
know, it's amazing how we just have to go with the flow and we think things are going to be ready and they're not. But I think everybody has been so great during this time to be flexible, and thank you for being so flexible. And I love the fact that I'm going to be doing a special online show for everybody. So.
I do too. I think it's fantastic. Your home is beautiful too, which is where I saw a recording. Are you sitting at your piano?
I'm sitting at my piano, yeah. This is sort of where I like to be, and I have this beautiful picture window overlooking the mountains and the pool and the jacuzzi. It makes me feel like life is okay in this little world that I'm in right now.
That's really good. That's really good. So I imagine that most of the people that will see this interview have done their research on you because you are a fan favorite here. You are somebody that you sell out, and I have a waiting list every time you come. It doesn't matter if I had you every night of the week. I think we'd sell out every night. So they love you, and they already know a lot about you. But I want you to talk to us a little bit about where you started. Where did you begin in your musical journey? Were you a baby, or did you go to school and study formally?
I did all of the above. First of all, I was really lucky to have such wonderful parents. My dad was a great journalist, a writer, and a lover of jazz. And he imparted his passion for jazz and his great record collection, which woke up my inner diva. And my mother happened to be this extraordinary singer, pianist, voice teacher, and a really powerful human being. And the two of them never said to my sister Liz, who's of course, has a wonderful career as well. They never said, you must do this or you must do that. They just imparted their enthusiasm on music, for music and literature and writing and all the things that we're passionate about. And so I grew up in this world where I thought everybody lived like that. I thought everyone's father sang scat and everyone's mother, sang a torch song in the middle of the afternoon at the piano. It just seemed like that's what life is. And so later on, I remember in third grade, my teacher said, all right, everyone, I want to hear you sing. And so I sang, and she said, oh, Anne, you have such a beautiful voice. And I was really stunned. I didn't know there was anything special about my singing or my voice. And, I had this great environment to absorb all kinds of wonderful music, from jazz to pop to theater to classical, and I loved all of it. Then I was lucky enough to be cast when I was 10 years old in a little play. And I just remember acting in that play and thinking, oh, this is the most thrilling thing that has ever happened to me. This was a time when I had just started writing poems. I just learned how to taught myself how to play guitar. And then suddenly I'm learning how to act and perform on the stage. And I started to feel like I knew who I was going to be eventually. And when we moved to New York from Chicago, and I had fantastic teachers, and I was listening to amazing songwriters like Carole King and Joni Mitchell, that started to help me have an idea of what I might want to do creatively. While at the same time, I had a voice teacher at my junior high school who said I was going to be the next great opera singer. So I started listening to classical music as a singer and started developing technique, which to this day has served me really well. And then I went to one of the country's finest high schools, and I got to star in shows, and I got to sing with amazing teachers and do really powerful performances that to this day I still treasure, and work with my wonderful students who've gone on to do many wonderful things in their lives. So that was a great nurturing time for me. Then I served 2 years at University of Illinois, as I like to say, in a drive-by education, as an acting major, and I had a horrible time, and it was just miserable, and it was so good for me because I realized that life isn't always sweet and perfect, and that you're going to have disappointments, and you're going to have people who are discouraging, and you're going to have to deal with that because is part of life. And so that gave me an education that would later on be very valuable as I tried to find my way in the music industry. When I was so sad about this experience I had, I decided to move to New York and create my own education, and I was going to live my dream. And then about a month before I did that, my sister said, I want to move to New York too. So just like, it's a wonderful town with Rosalind Russell. We moved to New York together, and 3 days later, I had a singing job at a little nightclub right around the corner from where we stayed at this hotel. And 6 hours a night singing and playing the piano was the greatest education to get started to do what I do. And all these years later, I'm still doing it. So that was sort of how I started my career. But there are so many, of course, nuances and stories along the way, and to this day that are really, everybody's plot is different. And of course, I wanted to be on Broadway the moment I got off the Amtrak train from Chicago. And then 21 years later, I became an overnight sensation. So dreams come true in many different ways.
Yeah, I love that phrase, overnight sensation. They have no idea how long you've been grinding in the work.
Right. Yes, yeah.
So,
And I remember people saying when I first started out, well, what are you doing here? You should be a star. And people in our generation have such an interesting idea of what is important. Fame is so important to people. And if you're not famous, you've made a big mistake. And I've actually called this generation of my extremely talented friends who do what I do, I call us the unfamous generation, because even though we all have followings and people really appreciate us, we didn't grow up with the kind of star machinery that our predecessors did, in a way. And most of us are hybrids, and we're combining many different influences, so we're not quite as easy to pinpoint and just put in a pigeonhole. So the result for me is that I've had a really interesting career being true to myself, and I'm so grateful for that. So,
yeah, for sure. I mean, that's an organic process that you describe. Even with leaving some of the nuances out. I mean, I went to theater school undergrad, and I'm convinced that the purpose is to teach you not to want to be an actor.
Absolutely. The first day of my acting class freshman year, the teacher said only 1% of actors work, and by the end of this semester, we're going to weed out all the weaklings. And they really had that approach. It was very hostile. And I started to realize they're not really enjoying teaching. They wish they were stars. They wish they were on Broadway. And I realized what a toxic environment it was. I'm sure there's many schools that aren't that way, but unfortunately, for all of my fellow classmates, we really had a lot to deal with. And I still have scars from that experience that I don't think I've healed, but fortunately, I've moved on with my life in many other ways.
Yeah. Well, so you describe your parents as being very influential in helping you, or making, I'll use the word organic again, making music and theater and all of the arts part of your day-to-day existence. Were there any specific performers or singers that you wanted to emulate or that inspired you even further?
I was such an impressionable person, and I still am in some ways, that every time I saw greatness in front of me, whether it was I saw it or I read about a person's life, I just thought, oh my God, I want to do that. I want to try that. This sounds amazing. Let's do that. I used to read biographies and as a grade school student, and every single profession, every achievement that I read about was so inspiring to me. I was very empathetic with what was possible, which was a cool way to grow up. But my first favorite singer, besides my mom, who I just, I get out of the womb and there she is singing, was Judy Garland. When I saw The Wizard of Oz and I saw that beautiful young face singing those glorious songs, especially Over the Rainbow, that was just sort of a ding, a moment of another voice that I didn't see really, but what I heard all the time. My dad played a lot of Ella Fitzgerald, and he also sat around the house, scat singing, and then he'd do some interpretive dancing as he was, moving books and interviews and things like that when he was preparing for his civil rights movement journalism assignments that he had. Oh my goodness, let me turn off my phone. Anyway, so Ella Fitzgerald, Sarah Vaughan was a voice, Billie Holiday, those were very early voices that I heard. And then my first concert was Ray Charles at
Oh,
Westbury Music Fair, and he was electrifying. I was just blown away. Then after that, my parents took my sister Liz and I to see our first Broadway musical, and that was Stephen Sondheim's Company, and I got to see Elaine Stritch
oh,
sing "Here's to the Ladies Who Lunch," and that was another aha moment. I remember seeing Barbara Streisand in the movie Funny Girl and thinking, what a voice, what a presence, what a talent, what an actress. You know, that's if that's possible, I want something of that in my life. I want to find out if I can do that. Those were some of those moments. And then, as I mentioned earlier, the songwriters like Carole King and the wonderful Joni Mitchell and James Taylor and Stevie Wonder and some of those folks, they were very important. And classically, a person who really was a spiritual influence was Leontine Price.
mm.
I saw her live at Ravinia outside of Chicago, outside. I realized that singers at their best can channel God. And I just was absolutely blown away. So I stayed after the concert and I was in a line and I got to see her in person in her dressing room. And I asked her, I said, Miss Price, how your performance was magnificent. I was so moved. How do you have the energy to do this? I mean, it was just staggering. She looked at me and she said, well, you know, honey child, which I couldn't believe she said, I eat a steak as big as a piano. So you just never know what your heroes are going to say.
That's awesome. That's really awesome. I can't even imagine. You know, it's
Yeah.
really, really interesting to hear. And I think of you on our stage, and I think people, not the state comment, but I think you're truly an inspiration. I think you do things for the people who love listening to you that maybe you're not even aware of. I think you take people back in time to
Mhm.
memories that make them so happy. And I think you connect with your audience in such a real way. It's just lovely. It's really lovely. So
Thank you.
I'm glad that you were encouraged the way that you were by your surroundings and by the experiences you had, because you sure bring a lot to us. So.
Yeah.
So what do you think the power of music is? I've asked everybody the same question. I think I wanted to ask this because I think right now it's an interesting time for all of us with COVID-19, all the closures for artists in particular in venues,
Hmm.
and with the racial injustice after the George Floyd murder. There's so much music. What do you think its power is?
You know, I've been writing a poem a day this year, and I've written several poems about music, and it's a really profound art form, and it's beyond entertainment. It's to me a spiritual healing force. It is. I wonder if I could find the poem I wrote 2 nights ago about music, because I think it expresses pretty well how I feel, and it's kind of a little bit of an unusual way of looking at music, because so often we just think of it as, you know, cool sounds and interesting personalities and memorable songs, but I feel like music is part of the essential. It's an essential need. This is a poem. I'm just going to read this. I've never
Oh,
read.
cool. That's awesome.
It's called "To Be Known by Music." There are many secrets we hold inside, unspoken, and nothing, not even ourselves or other people, may discover who we are until music. It comes in through the ear and listens in from our mind down to the depths of our heartstrings. It offers notes to match our own, and the private harmony slowly retunes us. It unearths it unearths the feelings we have buried and sings them back to us. Music has no mission but to sing us alive, to make us real once more. For each of us, music finds the perfect vessel, and across the endless sea of our privacy, it sails to save our own heart and bring us back to shore.
Oh, Anne, that's beautiful.
Thank you.
It sings us alive. I love
Yeah.
that. That's really, really
So
beautiful.
yeah, it's to me, music is not just sound, it's not just art, it's a vibration that has the ability to wake us up, to make us feel things we forgot we felt, to bring us joy, to bring us unity as people. I mean, there is this sense of every time I go out on a stage and I'm maybe in a sea of strangers, and by the end of the night, it's a family. That's what music does. And this time, when we are going through some of the worst challenges I think of in centuries, I mean, to have so many serious issues at hand that are requiring our utmost strength, our utmost compassion, our utmost patience, our utmost brilliance. There are so many things asked of us during this time. Um, to me, music is one of the most grounding and elevating at the same time art forms there is. And that's why I'm so honored that I figured out a way to continue doing what I love to do during this time when I can't sing in person for people, and I miss it so much.
I'm sure it's cathartic for the performer. I think it can be exhausting, right? I don't mean physically necessarily, although I think physiologically it's got to be a draining process, the way you perform in particular, because it's a full-on conversation with as many people as the house can hold.
Right.
I think that's really interesting.
Well, the difference now for I think I can say speak for many of us, and maybe not all of us, is that when you are giving your heart and soul and you're singing your guts out and you're telling personal stories and sharing the depths of your heart, you get that wonderful energy from an audience, and it feeds you, and it becomes this beautiful circle. Now, when I do record a show for people, or it's I don't get that back. So I have to sort of use my imagination and remember what people feel when they hear these songs, and really think about, well, I might not be able to see the people I'm singing to, but I know that something is happening and we're having this collective experience. So it takes a whole new level of imagination to be not depleted by performing, but to really feel the ultimate connection that these songs will bring us.
Yeah, that's a good point, because so you're part of this new series that we launched this month called Music at Home Live from Arts Garage. I almost forgot the name of the series. That would be bad. That would make me look very bad.
Thank you for doing this, because I think it's a wonderful way for your fans and your core audience to feel included and to sort of bring us together in these special performances. So I'm really thrilled to be a part of it.
I think it's going to be neat. I mean, there is so much out there already, and we're monetizing this because at this point in time, we've done nearly 60 performances at no cost to our audience, and we've not paid one of the local artists that helped.
Wow. Wow.
Energy, time, and performance and craft. It was unbelievable to be involved in that project.
Yeah.
At this point, we're 6 months in, and Arts Garage needs to, I just don't think we anticipated that it would really last this long.
No, of course not. No, it shouldn't have.
So now we're monetizing the programs, and I keep reminding people that what we're doing for most of the shows, and I want to tell the people who are watching about how yours will be a little bit different. We're putting the performers on our stage and producing it from our stage. Now, we're not going to do that with you because you're in Arizona, and it's not exactly safe to travel now. So right. we're going to approach this differently. But I saw a clip of one of these performances that you recorded for another organization. And you're going to record this right in the spot that you're in, I think.
Yes, right here in my living room here in Tucson, Arizona. And it's become sort of the new amphitheater is people's living room. So
yeah, I think it's really exciting. So it's really neat that you're willing to do a special thing for Arts Garage, and that we'll be able to have you here, even though we've had to postpone your shows. But we're really excited about both of those too, and hopeful that that they will happen.
It will happen, and when it does, we're going to have so much to celebrate. It's going to be the feeling of elation to be reunited. And I just have to say that I really love the people who come to the Arts Garage. It's like a family reunion. I know so many of the people that I've seen at my shows there, I have years and years of, oh, I saw you here and I saw you there. Oh, we got married, and you were there. And, I sort of become the soundtrack to people's lives in some ways. And then they become such a big part of my life. And I write songs for people and do all these things. And it's a very special community that you have there. And I love the feeling of the Arts Garage. And it's kind of funky and down to earth. And yet it has a certain elegance too. It's very personal.
Shabby chic. We're shabby chic.
Shabby chic. I like that. Yes, yeah.
Our audience is amazing. Our patrons are educated about their musical preferences, and they look very carefully. Since I started here 4 years ago, I've worked very hard to make sure they know that if I put somebody on the stage, even if they don't know their name, if they like the genre of music, that they can trust that it's going to be a kick-ass performance.
Right.
It's wonderful. That if you really like Latin jazz or you really like the American Songbook, if I put the person on the stage, you can trust that it's going to be incredible. Because
right. You build trust that way.
I know how much they admire, and I model a lot of the genres that I book after performers like you. And the audience's response to you is remarkable. I mean, it's a really beautiful thing, Anna. It's really beautiful to witness.
Well, I'm really glad that I get to do this. And it's, people say, well, it's how you make a living. To me, it's just who I am. It's how I wake up in the morning and how I feel and how I express myself. And so it's beyond anything except for the human connection that music offers, and the love that I feel for so many of the people that I get to sing for. And so it's going to be fun creating this special show for you guys. And I want people to know that this room has had some incredible nights of music. When I was a young woman, I read a lot about Paris in the 1920s, and I thought, when I grow up, I want to have salons and I want to have great art come to my home. And that's what happens here. We have people visiting, and we have some really amazing artists here of various genres, and we have dinner, and then we come into this room, and amazing performances happen that just bring me such joy. So I love the fact that the room already has this sense of occasion. And it's a place that I'm happy to extend my personal musical expression to all the people in Florida and beyond.
We cannot wait. So I don't know if I remembered to say it, but the show is October 10th. It'll be at 7. Right. And your show will be a little different because we'll provide most of the shows we're doing in this series. You have to tune in at that specific time. And if you miss it, you miss it. With your show, we're going to allow patrons to have access to it for 2 days. So they'll have it for Saturday and Sunday.
Oh, that's nice.
I'll get to see you. And I cannot wait. I cannot wait.
Well, me too. I'm very excited. And also, I want to do a special improv for the show. So I'm hoping that we'll figure out how to do this, but I'm hoping that some of your audience members could call in, a word or a phrase for the special improv, because that's one of the things I love doing in my shows there.
I would love it. I'd be happy to set that up. We can pull the people who have attended your shows before and send them an email and ask them if they'll participate.
Perfect. Yeah. That'd be wonderful.
Okay, good. So what do you want them to do? You want them to give you a special word or phrase? Just anything?
Yes, about anything. It might be fun to do a pandemic love song, Love in the Pandemic.
I'm going to write that down. Okay. That's fantastic. Okay.
And I want to encourage everybody who watches me to make a quarantini because the more you drink, the better I sound.
Okay. All right. I'll tell them your joke too.
The Del Rey Daiquiri. I don't know. We'll come up with some cocktail choices.
Oh, that's hysterical. And I don't think it's true because I have never been as blessed to listen to someone share their art with me than I have been when I've been in the room with you. So thank you for this. Thank you for taking the time to do this. I think it will help. I think it'll be really something fun for the audience. They all know you already. So I think it's going to be really fun for them to see you like this.
Thank you. And you know something, Marjorie? I think what you're creating, as much as live performance is really the central theme of what you do, this may this may stick. This kind of series where people who can't go fly in and do various things, but you can every now and then have an online performance just for your audience. I think what we're creating now, all of us together, may have an enduring presence in our lives that will be good. You know, it'll be one of the many things that we can do to connect with each other.
And that we can take positively out of this pandemic.
Yes, the silver linings. Thank you,
You
Lord.
know, like I have a lot of patrons who have stopped driving at night, so they don't
Yes.
come to our evening shows, but they would love to see one of these shows in their home. So I think you're right.
Yeah.
You're spot on.
Yeah.
All right, my friend. Thank you so much. I
Thank you,
cannot wait
Margaret.
to see you.
And I give you my Diva blessings.
I forgot to ask. Thank you. I look for that every time. Tell us about that real quick. What's the value of a diva blessing? What will happen to me now?
The Diva blessing is whatever. It's sort of like the wish fulfilling blessing. Whatever it is in your heart that you hope for is what I'm giving my Diva blessing to. Whatever health and happiness, certainly in this time, and inspiration and joy. Those are
Fantastic.
the main things that I wish you.
Fantastic. I wish them all right back to you. All right,
Thank
my
you.
friend, thank you. I'm going to say goodbye for now, and we will see you on the 10th of October.
Fantastic. Looking
Thank you,
forward to it.
Anne. Thank you.
Bye.